Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 131 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one live podcast in Canada. We're recording on Monday, April 23rd, 2018.
I'm Liberal Tim. I'm a liberal, husband, and father of three. I'm a sports shooter and owner and operator of Tim's Good T-shirts.
Hi, I'm Gavin, internationally trained operator who operates operationally, certified AR armor, and CCFR field officer, and all-around swell guy.
Strongly disagree.
I'm Marty Hunter, sports shooter in rural Southern Ontario, and can read the show notes.
As always, my name is Andrew. I'm a recovering libertarian, a competitive shooter, and a firearms instructor at Ragnarok Tactical. Blank? Who's blank? We'd love to hear your feedback about the show. Please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. You can find the show on the Stitcher and the iTunes. I still haven't figured out how to make it work on Spotify. Maybe someday. We'll see. Oh, me again? Check out the podcast on Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast and Instagram.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast.
We need your help to support the show. Visit www.patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get the uncensored audio version of the show for just $1 per episode. The more you pledge, the better the rewards are. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. To do so, you can visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, go to the homepage, and follow the link on the right.
All right. Every week, What Are We Drinking is brought to us by Arrowhead Coffee. Arrowhead Coffee is owned and operated by Canadian Armed Forces veterans. They love our country, the true north, strong and free, their family and friends. Join Arrowhead Coffee on their hunt for the perfect brew to raise morale and bring that feeling of home to you no matter where you are. A portion of all profits helps Canadian Armed Forces members, veterans, and their families. So what are we drinking? Gavin, we'll start with you. What are you drinking?
I am drinking some Alexander Keith's India Pale Ale.
Classic standby beer. Well done.
Yeah.
Marty, what are you drinking?
I have Crown Apple and Coke Zero tonight.
Yeah. Tim, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Rickard's Red again because it's delicious.
Awesome. I'm drinking some kind of thing from the Dominican Republic that I have no idea how to pronounce. It tastes like
Floor
kind of
cleaner?
spicy wine.
Okay.
No, it's like the bottle's upstairs somewhere. Rama, Jamma, marijuana, something I don't know.
Mama Juana?
Remember Ding Dong?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh,
I
it's
don't know.
Mama Juana? Man, that shit is fucking deadly.
Yeah, Mama Juana,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah, that's Dominican Viagra. So
Well, that would explain why I'm setting funny.
There.
I don't know. It's 30%. It's like spicy wine.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Basically, yeah, they take some red wine and a little bit of rum and throw it all in a bucket with some twigs and shit and let it sit. Soak up the goodness.
Wow. That sounds super appealing. I'm glad I'm drinking this.
Don't worry, they use reverse osmosis water.
Okay.
It's okay.
Oh, that makes up for the twigs and shit, I imagine.
Yeah. I mean, normally things with bundles of sticks in them are no good, but Mama Juana is not bad.
I strongly disagree.
Yeah, I'm with Marty on this.
See, I do something similar. I take red wine and I just throw it in the toilet where it belongs.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and figure out how to spell that for the show notes. We're just putting Dominican Republic.
I'm drinking
All right.
Dominican Republic.
I'm going to add beverage.
Yeah. Well, after enough of it, you might not be able to spell beverage either. That shit is just, crazy strong.
That's a tough one, yeah.
Anyway, let's
Yeah,
get into the
spell
news.
beverage.
First one that we've got for the news, we're going to do breaking stories because I guess we, the media now, we have a report of a pedestrian truck incident taking place in Toronto earlier today.
I believe it's referred to as an auto-pedestrian collision, at least according to the Facebooks.
That's right, because when you collide your rented cargo van into pedestrians 25 times, it's probably on accident.
Yeah. Everyone does that at least once in their life.
All right, so bringing everybody up to speed because this is current stuff. We don't normally do the news that's this current, but this is pretty current. So, this afternoon, 1:30 p.m. in Toronto, Yonge and Finch, there was reports of a vehicle striking pedestrians. It turns out that this was a rented rider van. The individual that was driving the van was in custody. He was arrested by police shortly after fleeing the scene. Parts of Yonge Street were shut down, as well as parts of the Toronto subway. Apparently, the individual in question got out of the rented van of peace and yelled at officers to kill me. And instead of granting his wish, the Toronto police subdued and restrained the individual. Charges, as far as I can tell, have not yet been laid.
I think it would have been a lot cheaper if they had just shot the guy, but
yeah, I saw a comment about that. Actually, I think it was on your Facebook today. That if this was a little bit further south, this guy would have been Swiss cheese. And I'm kind of thinking if I would have been a little bit closer, he would have been too. Because hey, if you want to go meet Allah, I can arrange that.
Yeah, I saw a video of what was apparently the police arresting this guy. And when the police showed up, like, he's pointing something at the police. Like, if I was the cop, like, it definitely, it looked like he was pointing a gun from the blurry cell phone camera video. Obviously, it wasn't, but, for a police officer arriving on scene, that seemed a little sketchy. But again, I don't know.
Are we sure it wasn't? Because none of the media reports that I've read have actually identified what the object he was pointing was. It's just been referred to as the object.
Yeah,
it makes it sound more ominous.
It seems very suspicious that it would just be the object, not that he had a phone or he had a cookie or just that it was.
Like, he was definitely holding it in a manner that looked like he was holding a gun.
Yeah, pointing it raised above his hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, was it sideways or was he not one of those kind of criminals?
It is that part of town, though.
I used to live not very far from that intersection and used to eat chicken wings at the Puck and Wings there and go to the Good Life across the street immediately before consuming the beer and chicken wings.
You gotta reward yourself.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. You lift a couple of weights and you eat a chicken wing.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's not a great neighborhood, really.
It's not a great it's not a terrible neighborhood. It is definitely a very diverse neighborhood.
You go a little bit further away to Jane and Finch, and that is definitely the area where they hold guns sideways.
That's possibly
a little bit. Jane and Finch is kind of like the infamous area in Toronto for criminal activity. So, unfamiliar with the area, how close is that to where this occurred?
A couple of major intersections. This was at Yonge and Finch. Jane and Finch would be
not
two major intersections over.
Yeah, not terribly far, but not, adjacent per se.
No, it would be a significant amount of time to walk that far. This is like major city blocks.
Looks like, there's Yonge and then Bathurst and then Allen
Keele
Road,
and then
Keele, and then Jane.
Yeah. So it's a good ways over. But,
so he was really lost.
So as of now, we've not seen or heard any kind of what the motive was, like what his what the intentions were behind this.
I believe that the media and the government is intentionally obfuscating what the motive was because Wynne has had a press conference, the Premier of Ontario, the Public Safety Minister. Tim, who's the Public Safety Minister?
It's Jane Provost, Natalie Provost.
Ralph Goodall. That's always Ralph Goodall.
Okay. Oh yeah, I saw him. He was chewing gum like a freaking idiot.
I thought we got rid of him.
Bopping his head around.
Yeah.
So he's had a press conference. Toronto PD.
They have this guy in custody. I have to feel like somebody would have said, "Why'd you do this?" Like, do you think that's a question that's been asked?
Probably the first one. Like, Jesus, buddy, what the fuck?
Right.
Yeah, I'm not terribly impressed with the reporting by the media on this because this didn't come out in any major Canadian outlets, including local news stations in Toronto, until after I'd already seen it on Al Jazeera. Because I guess for my local news, I need to refer to Al Jazeera now.
Well, maybe RT News would be a good one.
I didn't see it on RT News, but I did see it on France 24, Al Jazeera, and multiple U.S. Regional outlets before I saw it in any major Canadian outlet, before it was on the front page of the CBC, the Globe, the National Post, or somewhere else that came out later in the day.
I was getting texts and Facebook messages from friends of mine in the U.S. before I even heard what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, there's to my mind, like I can't prove this, but what I assume is going on is that everyone in the Canadian media knows to kind of hold. As soon as there's like a white rental truck driven into a crowd of people, then they have to wait for a certain.
We can't just assume that it was a truck of peace.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's probably a truck of peace.
Yeah. The question is, how many more?
So hopefully, you didn't tune into this podcast looking for details, because we have.
Oh, we got nothing. We got nothing. I got what I saw on Al Jazeera and France 24.
You got
that's more details than some.
Yeah, 25 is the suspect in the attack that killed 10 people, but we know where it happened. But like, it's just there's so many people like are so incredulous about what had happened. Like, I saw someone on Facebook going like, first of all, you guys need to get your facts straight. Like, those two places are nowhere near each other. It's like, no, like he drove down the sidewalk like forever.
Yeah, he drove a city block in Toronto. Yeah. He drove from Finch to Shepherd and decided to run people over the whole time. Like, that's
clearly not an accident.
Got to be close to 2 kilometers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the rumor is they're saying he's Armenian, but then someone said that if you go and check his Facebook on like profile, it says he's from Syria. So, and he's 25 years old.
So we're not saying truck of peace, but all signs indicate truck of peace.
Yeah,
we're very tolerant.
That's why I'm not, because when you start running people over, it makes me get a little bit upset.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with us not being particularly tolerant of this. And I mean, we are coming off the cuff with something that's happened hours ago with no real information from our government or our police forces or the media, because the media in our country decided to wait until they had an official narrative and a press conference from the Premier of Ontario before really releasing any details of the story.
Well, they had to find out from her how they were supposed to spin it.
Well, and that's what I think this comes down to, is the biased journalism, that they were waiting to find out from their handlers, how do we want to play this? Right? Like,
we're going to play it off like it was a big accident. You know, it was an pedestrian collision.
That's exactly what Facebook's doing. The whole, mark yourself safe during a incident, whatever, during a natural disaster or civil unrest, the thing that Facebook does, that you can mark yourself safe, which, by the way, the only options are to mark yourself safe or that you're not impacted by the event. There is no other options, because it asked me that today and I was very confused about that, because like, how do I be like, well, I got run over by the truck, but other than that, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm alive, but I did, get hit. That's not an option.
Yeah. Like, or, you know, like, I used my use of force training to subdue the assailant. Like, there's no other, it's I'm okay, or this doesn't, like, I'm not impacted by this event. I'm not there, or whatever the option was called.
Well, I guess they're assuming that if you're impacted by it, like, you're dead. And you can't respond, which I guess is fairly accurate.
It also seemed very odd that I'm 140-ish kilometers away from where it occurred, and Facebook decided to ask me if I was all right.
Yeah, that's weird, because I'm a lot closer, and it didn't ask me at all.
See, I'm even farther away than both of you, and it didn't ask me, and I'm kind of like feeling
a little bit left out. Yeah, I hear that.
I feel a little.
I'm just confused why you guys are going onto Facebook.
Huh? Because it asked me personal probing questions.
Yeah,
it's much cheaper than therapy. I do love cat videos.
Who doesn't? They're great.
Oh shit!
I mean,
so I don't really have anything else from. I don't really have anything else from this other than wild speculation, but I do have some other stuff that's tangentially related if you don't have anything specific to this story, guys.
I mean, my only comment is like, I mean, you know, we're not entirely sure whether this was, you know, like a terrorist attack. For those of you listening to the audio only, I was doing the air quotes thing because, you know, we don't know this guy's motives or anything, but like this was clearly not an accident. Like it's not like he veered off onto the sidewalk and hit a couple of people. So, what, you know, whatever the motives is, like this shit's happening here. And people need to start waking up to this kind of stuff, you know, like, and I'm not going to put my tinfoil hat on and say that, like, you know, it's this, that, or whatever else, but like, these are things that are happening all over the world now. And unfortunately, you know, you need to kind of start getting prepared to deal with it. You know, somebody we know that comes out and shoots occasionally at some of our events and stuff said like, it was disgusting watching like the people walking by, like not doing anything. And I agree. You know, there's people in need that you could help, and you're just walking by like, sorry, my life is too important to help.
Yeah, like there's some of the pictures, there's like someone on the ground and someone's helping them, and then someone else is just leaning against, you know, like a concrete wall, just kind of leaning there, like on their cell phone.
Yeah, yes and no, and this is the tangential stuff that I wanted to talk about. If I'm in any sort of an incident like this, some sort of terrorism attack, mass casualty event, you know, crowded theater and somebody's yelling fire, I'm not of the opinion that I wanted to like hang around. I'm probably not rendering aid to people that I don't know. I sure shit ain't leaning up the wall and taking a selfie. Like, yeah. I'm getting out of Dodge while the getting is good, you know?
Yeah, and that's an understandable reaction. Like, you're not really sure if the area is safe or not yet, so get the fuck out of there. That
right.
Perfectly valid.
That being said, you know, get the training to be able to handle, like, provide first aid and provide, you know, like the actual kind of care that people would require, because, you know, it could be you, it could be a loved one that you're there with. So, yeah, you know, you do want to have that knowledge.
Well, absolutely. That's where I want to go with this. Is that if you're not directly impacted by this, standing around and being on your selfie phone is probably not the best use of your time, and you probably shouldn't have been in the, like, you probably should not remain in the area if you can avoid it. If for some reason you are involved in a situation where people are running you over with a truck or some other sort of mass casualty or even minor casualty event where you have someone who's been injured, if you can render aid to your loved ones, that would be ideal. Like, you should absolutely allow me to put on my patriarchy hat as the provider of and man of your family. You should absolutely have the tools and skills to provide for your family. So,
or if, you know, the danger is gone and you are capable of rendering aid, you should do so. Like, that's part of your civic responsibility as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm agreeable to that. My thing is, I don't want to waste my tourniquets and my bandages on people I don't know when I might need them for my own self or my own family.
Mm-hmm. Fair,
so,
yes.
But yeah, like, I'm getting, well, the getting's good, but
yeah,
you should absolutely like.
Yeah, we could all use like, not all, but there's like, yeah. If you guys haven't done so, if the listeners haven't done so, like, turn off the Netflix a couple of times and go take a first aid course.
Yeah, it's like a weekend of your time to learn something that could, you know, extend somebody's life a heck of a lot longer than, you know, a season of Friends or something, you know.
And it's, you know, it's one thing if, you know, if you're doing it specifically for a terrorist incident, you know, that's maybe a little bit much, but there's all kinds of things that people in their day-to-day life.
Well, look at the ice storm that we
car
just
accidents,
had, right?
or, you know, chainsaw, or, you know, who knows what it is. So
yeah, I mean, stopping a bleed is stopping a bleed. How the bleeding started is not the important part of the equation.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. My daughter, my oldest daughter, got to be 9, and then I was just like, Jesus, I'd never had my first aid training, so it's just like,
dodged a bullet there.
I took care of that.
Yeah.
And now Tim doesn't have a daughter.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so much easier that way.
And still no first aid training.
Yeah. I traded her for the training.
That seems reasonable. I get the training, get the tools, keep the tools with you. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know, Gavin. I've seen the inside of Gavin's car. Gavin has seen my work bag. Keep tourniquets on and about your person. Keep bandages on and about your person. Having the most baller first aid kit, surgery skill tool set in the car that's parked 4 kilometers away doesn't do you any fucking good.
What?
Keep the things with you, because if they're not with you, it's not helping.
And you know, I mean, I know everyone's on a budget, but like the more of the basics that you can have, the better off you are. Like if you can only afford one thing of gauze and one tourniquet, that's better than nothing. But like, you know,
okay,
ideally
so
you should have a couple.
Shameless plug, go to Ragnarok Tactical. I have a bunch of medical stuff that's coming back in stock now because we're finally getting caught up after TACOM and things are coming back in. An Israeli bandage is $12. You should be able to stop most hemorrhages with an Israeli bandage. A quality North American Rescue Combat Applications tourniquet, the CAT tourniquet, or the soft T wide tourniquet, they're like $40. Buy a couple. Put one in your car. Put one in your bag. Keep one in your back pocket. Like,
yeah, and like as someone that travels a lot, I've been through airport security with all of that stuff in my backpack, like that I bring on the plane. So you can get that stuff inside of anywhere, and no one's going to question it. So there's no reason for you to not have that stuff with you, and especially in places where you know you may need it.
yeah, buy some bandages, buy a tourniquet. Go on the Ragnarok website. Go on another website. Go to 911 Supply in Toronto, or CTOM's out west, or go on
any of them.
Well, maybe don't go on eBay. Don't go on eBay. You want to buy real tourniquets. Don't go on eBay.
Yeah, anyone that doesn't know how to use that stuff, like I'll even show you how to use it for free.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to get a cool little certificate out of it, but you know.
That's all right.
I'll show you how to use
Tourniquets
it.
aren't covered under the Red Cross first aid stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But bandages are. Buy bandages. Israeli bandages are cheap and small. It's $12 for a 4-inch bandage. You can do a lot with 4-inch bandage. It's 15 feet of gauze.
It's not the size that
You're
counts.
fine.
It's what you do with it.
That's right. It's what you do with it. All right. I got nothing else for that one. Go get stuff. Be prepared. Nobody's coming to save you. Moving on. Moving on. First one. Not really the first one. That was the first one. Next one, I guess. Globe and Mail article. We've got a I don't know, it's solicitation for questions from a reader at the Globe and Mail. As a white male, I did not get a job due to my race and gender. What are my options? So they got a little question that they wrote in. After interviewing for a senior role in a large, well-known Canadian organization, I was told by the recruiter that despite hitting all the high notes from a capabilities and experience perspective, their client couldn't do it. White males just won't cut it. I'm so sorry, as I wouldn't have gone this far with you if I had known this beforehand. This is the recruiter talking to the applicant about had they known they were a white man.
Oof.
What, if anything? Yeah, so this is the applicant again. Ooh. What, if anything, should I do about this? In the push for greater diversity, how should organizations protect themselves to ensure that their actions are not, in fact or in appearance, discriminating against one pool of candidates in favor of another? So there's a couple of responses. George Cottrell from Keel Cottrell, which is like a labor relations lawyer. Basically, his advice is go to the Human Rights Commission and talk to a lawyer, because you should probably talk to a lawyer.
Oh yeah,
and you probably have some human rights that have been violated. The second answer is the more interesting answer. It's from Bill Howitt. And Bill's the Chief Research and Development Officer for Workforce Productivity for Morneau Chappelle. Listeners out there in podcast land may find that name sounds slightly familiar. It's the company that is owned by the family of Finance Minister Bill Morneau.
Oh, it's that fella that loves French fries so much he married into the family.
That's the French fry guy.
Yeah.
Well, he also loves building skating rinks, but he's not very good at pricing out how much it costs to build one.
Frickin' A.
That's none of my business.
I don't know. YouTube is yelling finance minister at me. Did I not say that this guy was the finance minister?
I believe
Pretty
he
sure
is.
Alexa.
Hey, RCMP, I know you're listening. Could you Google this for us?
Yeah, come on, guys. Pitch in.
Yeah. Who do you think does our interning for us?
Yeah, take your hand off your dick and help us out for Christ's sake.
All right. So Bill from Morneau Chappelle had some advice for the the writer, the applicant who was denied the job. They're pretty good. I want to read this one part of his response. One additional caution for recruiters or employers who are hiring anyone other than Caucasians and are openly sharing information, such as the employer you cite, are advised to use discretion in how they communicate their intention to mitigate the risk for increasing sentiments that fuel racial tensions. How this was explained to you was inappropriate and inflammatory. The right response would have been, I'm sorry, they went in another direction.
Yeah, so never
So
tell the truth. Hide the
in answer to the individual who was denied the job because he was a white male, the chief research and development officer at Morneau Chappelle's advice is for the recruiter to lie to the applicant.
Yeah. I mean,
I can't say
as a
shocked, but maybe instead of saying how this was explained was inappropriate, inflammatory, well, that is not factually inaccurate. Maybe we should just say that it was wrong and you shouldn't do that because it makes you a bad person and you shouldn't be a fucking racist. How about that?
So, I didn't even notice this was Morneau Chappelle. I was going to make the joke like, oh, what is this guy?
Minorities can't be racist because they
position?
don't have institutionalized power, except.
Well, you know what this is? This is a term we hear all the time. This is that institutional racism you keep hearing about.
Yeah.
This is a government-backed institutional racism against white people. And here's someone who works for the company of our, that's owned by the family of our finance minister. He's going, oh, well, they should have just kept you in the dark and ignorant. They should never have truly said why you didn't get the position. But this reminds me, this has been going back, like, I think I'm a little older than you guys, by like double. And, but I remember back in 1990, and I went to start my career, and I was working in Kitchener. And like the people I was boarding with there, like they're like literally like the diversity program they had set up. He was trying to be her brother was trying to become a firefighter, and he got like a 79 on the test score or whatever. And it's just like if he needed an 80 to get in because he was a white male. So this institutional racism, and sexism has been going on for like almost 30 years now, at least.
Absolutely.
I absolutely
there's all
believe
kinds of
on that long. Sorry, Marty, go ahead.
So there's all kinds of examples of multiple standards based on what demographic you are.
Yes, and I absolutely believe this has been going on 30 years or more. I am very excited to see that the pendulum has swung so far to the left that we now have racism against what at one point would have been the majority in this country. Straight white men, people that pay taxes. And the pendulum is about to swing back the other way, and I think it's going to swing incredibly hard when it does. Because the government will not be able to sustain itself unless that former majority of straight white men continues to pay their taxes. Soon as that stops and the government can't deficit spend any longer because Ontario has had its debt downgraded yet again.
Oh, yeah.
Soon as we can't borrow any more money and we have all these unfunded liabilities and the government can't pay the salaries to all of the government employees, which on Ontario, I think it's north of 30% of all full-time employees in Ontario are now employed by some level of government.
It's not near as bad as Quebec, but I know what you're getting at. It's time to sell the ivory.
It is
Yeah.
definitely time to sell the ivory.
There's got to be at least a couple billion in there, at least.
Speaking of which, there was came to my city of Owen Sound on Saturday, and couldn't be bothered to go, and because I have a queasy stomach. But then
She made it out.
someone apparently she came up and she kind of helped greet in one of the Liberal candidate for the riding, and like do a speech and shit like that. But on the way into town, someone had made a poster sign up, and it said, "Wins farewell tour, take your first right." Like, so as she was driving into Owen Sound, she would have seen that sign, and
that's pretty good. Yeah, this whole concept of affirmative action and quotas for minorities, and what was the thing that I think it might be in an article we have a little bit further down in the stack, but the whole idea of setting equal opportunities for underprivileged individuals has swung so far in the wrong direction that it's like the province has become untenable as a result. As soon as the province can't afford to continue employing these government bureaucrats, I mean, I'm excited for that day to come. This will be good for me.
Yeah, but equal opportunity. Like another good example, if any of your listeners want to do it, go to Google CBC any race except Caucasian.
Oh, it was like the child's TV show host. They wanted.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's what it was. It was a children's show that they were trying to get on CBC.
Yeah, Kids CBC. And hello, this is a shitty JPEG. If you're here to find instructions regarding a self-tape audition submission for the male Kids CBC host, you're in the right place. Below, you'll find a PDF with the audition material and all of the instructions. Please only submit if you match the following criteria. Male between the ages of 23 and 35 years, and then it said any race except Caucasian.
Well, what if you only identify as a male? Like, do you have to biologically be a male? That seems discriminatory.
Oh,
yeah. What if I don't identify as Caucasian?
I don't. Have you seen my tan?
Yeah.
What if I'm a non-rental truck renting transgender, gender queer?
You get a special truck for.
I get my own
gender.
I get my own channel.
What if you're an albino furry? Does that count?
You probably live in Toronto.
An albino what?
Oh, that wasn't the question. Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like it's ridiculous.
Back to your comment about how the government is going to run out of money to stop paying for these things. Do you honestly think that would ever happen?
Yes, but I don't know that it will be within my lifetime, although I would very much enjoy if I were around to see it.
So,
like, I think that
run out of money. Like,
that's what it I think that in a sense they'll have run out, but they'll just keep borrowing, and when they can't borrow anymore, they'll start seizing assets.
Right. I fully am in support of it. Eventually, there is going to be no one.
This is how we get
to loan the money. Yes, absolutely. Eventually, there's going to be no one left to loan the money. And then they're going to do asset forfeiture. And eventually there are going to be no more privately held assets.
Mm-hmm. And an unrelated thing, Ragnarok Tactical offers training in close quarters combat. And go to RagnarokTactical.com. Get some skills.
We do CQB training, pistols and rifles. But we do it for the competition shooter, not for those that are...
Yeah, you need a gulag avoidance course.
Yeah, I mean the whole equal opportunity thing is starting to get ridiculous because I own a business.
Starting to.
Well, I own a business. We've had several vacancies over the years where I've had to put advertisements out for them, and the way that we do that is we put it in a local paper, which to me means is equal opportunity, right? Anyone can see it and apply for the job, and we've had people of all different backgrounds apply and this and that. And I mean, sometimes depending on the position, you're only going to get people of a certain background applying. I mean, we've put out one not too long ago for, an accounting position. And if I only hired white people, I would have been shit out of luck because guess what? Not a single one applied.
Well, see, that's the problem. Is equal opportunity it sounds so fantastic, and you know what? This is Canada. We have a Human Rights Commission. We have labor boards in Ontario, and we have labor boards in each province. Equal opportunity exists. What the left is demanding is equal outcome, which is not going to happen. Just like you're not going to, like right now, I think female representation in the public school teaching in Ontario is like 82%. Let's get that down to 50. Come on, let's get equal outcome.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, that's nonsense.
Let's get some men in there.
Three quarters of all the people that are in jail are men. 98% of people that are in jail because of homicide are being convicted of homicide are men. 90 some odd percent of, well, I was just gonna say family court. 90 some odd percent of all custody cases result in the women, not the men, keeping custody of their children. Like,
I think the majority of homicide victims is men also.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's over 90% though. I know it is up there. I don't know if it's that high because I was going with the really high ones to illustrate my point.
Okay, because that's something we can.
Engineers.
That's something we can change. No, come on. That's what they want. They want equal outcome.
That's the views and opinions of the panelists on the Canadian Patriot podcast not necessarily reflect the views of the management, and you should consult with a competent attorney before taking any of this as legal advice.
Brought to you by Rickards.
They are funny though.
Oh yeah, yep.
I mean, he's not wrong, but nobody do that. Let's stop killing people as opposed to increasing killing of the other side.
That is the leftist way to solve the problem, I suppose.
Yeah.
All right, I moved up something that was further down in the stack. I want to go to this Globe and Mail article because it's in the same vein as what we were just talking about. The article is families say minimum wages are cutting jobs for people with disabilities. So this is talking about developmentally challenged individuals that hold jobs where they're paid under the minimum wage and they work in something called a sheltered workshop. A sheltered workshop is something that's going away under the new legislation in Ontario that brought the minimum wage up to $15 an hour. Sheltered workshop is basically a special work center. Can I call it a special work center? I'm going with that. Where they can employ a person with disability that works separately from other employees completing similar tasks. So, for example, this is someone who works in a factory folding gloves, or works at McDonald's sweeping the floor, or any myriad of other relatively low-skill jobs. Low-skill, low-demand, low-supervision jobs. So this is something you can train an individual to do and give them pride in themselves and pride of ownership in the work that they're doing because they're contributing and they're part of a team. But it's a protected workplace, or it was a protected workplace under laws in Ontario to allow individuals that would not normally be able to obtain the same type of employment as the rest of their team, the opportunity to work in those environments and be productive, contributing members of society.
Yeah, within the scope of their abilities. Like,
well, this is now going away because as a result of the changes to the minimum wage laws in Ontario, these individuals with developmental issues were being placed through services like Torchlight Services is a big one. They're in my neck of the woods. Torchlight Services is basically a job placement program for people with developmental challenges. So they look for jobs that suit candidates that can't work in traditional roles. So somebody who can't necessarily work and do everything that a McDonald's employee is expected to do, but somebody who can clean the bathroom or sweep the floor or take out the trash. And they come in and they do their couple hours of work and they may do it under some level of supervision with someone from Torchlight, and then they go on about the rest of their day. In Ontario, it's going to be illegal. Go ahead.
One thing I don't understand is, I mean, why don't they just go into politics like the rest of the special needs people?
They're too honest.
ooh, yeah.
That's. You remember when I said pride of ownership, pride of self?
Yeah.
Well, I guess most politicians are proud of themselves, so maybe that's not the.
Yeah, but there's a
case.
difference between being like proud of something you've actually done and being proud of being a piece of shit.
Yeah, but this is something like we knew just from interest in economics, and you know, common sense. So we knew this was going to happen. Like the people like lower skilled and lower whatever, they're not going to be able to, they're going to be hurt the most from any increase in the minimum wage like this. Like I go to the grocery store that I shop at mostly, like there's 3 developmentally, you know, different workers there, and those guys are just always like, they're just stocking shelves like machines. They just go and go, you know, they're doing work that if they weren't there, then there's like someone else would be doing that same thing. Like there's nothing wrong. And to think that these guys, you know, could lose their job because, but anyway, they're performing, and I bet they're not going to be impacted by this at all. But still, like Thomas Sowell said, like as soon as you raise the minimum wage, you're hurting the most fragile or you know, the most, what's the term I'm looking for? You know, the people who need it the most, that's the people you're going to hurt. The people who really need the job, the people without the skills or without the whatever, these are the people that an employer is not going to take a risk and hire that person, you know, because now they're forced by the government to pay them a certain wage.
Yeah, and like you said, like it sounds like the ones those guys you're talking about, like they're providing $15 an hour worth of service to that business, so they likely wouldn't be impacted. But there's a lot of these, you know, there's a lot of these jobs that are being done by these people that, you know, they're definitely, it's through the assistance program. Like that's what's allowing them to get paid, and they're maybe not, you know, they're not really providing that $15 worth of service.
Okay.
So in order for business to keep them employed,
my high school girlfriend had a cousin that was developmentally delayed, and her boyfriend who had Down syndrome were both employed under, I mean, this program or something similar to it, and like they both worked at McDonald's. Like that's how they met, and like they were able to hold down jobs and make some money so that they could like go out for dinner and do all that stuff. And eventually, you know, the guy like had his own apartment that he lived at and stuff like that. Like, but you know, he was able to do that because he made some money, and there was obviously some government subsidies along with that. But you know, without that program, nobody would have hired him. Like, you know, he did the stuff at McDonald's that nobody else wanted to do, but he did it. Wouldn't work the cash because he can't do the math that well or that fast. So this gave him an opportunity where, yeah, he could be a contributing member, and like everyone at the place treated him like he was part of the team because he was, and he pulled his weight as best he could in the things that he could do. But to throw him into just like a regular job, you know, he would never have lasted doing that. And it's ridiculous because, yeah, the people that need it most are the ones that are getting screwed the worst, you know?
Well, and
you know, programs
this is
like
true
this,
of most of the government programs are.
I was going to say, like, you know, programs like this, like it offers a service beyond sort of the money for the people because, you know, it gets them a sense of purpose. It gets them, you know, a sense of being normal, you know, like that they're able to go out and do a job just like everybody else. And, you know, taking the job away and just giving them handouts, that, you know, that's a huge disservice to these people.
Well, let's go further down the article.
Feel different, right?
Yeah, well, when you have a government that's more more interested in making people relying on a system and distributing wealth, and you know, because every time they move money, they get percent points on the money moved.
Well, that's what I wanted to bring up. So the Ministry of Community and Social Services has a spokesperson that has the following to say. There is simply no justification in the 21st century to segregate any group of people and pay less than the minimum wage for the work they have done. So I'm afraid the government disagrees with you, gentlemen.
Well, that's not surprising.
Yeah, I generally disagree with the government. Yeah, it follows.
Well, it gets better because the representative for the government says that further, some individuals with developmental disabilities may prefer to focus on community participation, such as volunteering or recreational opportunities.
So they'd rather work for free, is what the government is saying.
So the government is saying, take our handout and go do something else for free, rather than having a pride of self and pride of ownership in the work that you do.
Yeah.
By taking advantage of a program that allows them to go and work as a member of a team in a slightly abnormal way.
So what you're saying is the government wants to segregate them and take them out of the workplace and put them off doing their own thing instead of
and not
letting
pay
them be part of a team. Yeah.
So instead of allowing them to be paid by private industry, the government would rather subsidize them through tax benefits and have them fill their time by volunteering in some other government provided service.
It sounds like the government.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about other stupid things the government's coming up with. Well, I guess this isn't the government.
That's what we do all the time.
I've got something good. This is Andrea Harworth. She's the NDP leader for Ontario. So the Ontario NDP is promising $12 a day childcare and lower deficits just as soon as they're elected.
Yeah, but Wynn's offering free childcare, so.
Wow.
Oh, there's a difference though. Wynn is only offering free childcare for kids that are like 2.5 years old, right?
That's correct.
Or whatever they forget the exact age. Maybe that's not exactly it, but somewhere around there. Like
it's preschoolers of 2.5 years old until they reach the age of junior kindergarten.
So, from my understanding, the expensive age for preschool is up until they're 2.5. Like it's the 12 months, 18 months to.
As someone who is looking at preschool childcare opportunities, I can assure you that in the province of Ontario, the older they get, the less expensive it is. The reason for this is the ratio that the government dictates of adults to children, and it's a tiered system. When they're under a year, it maybe isn't 1-to-1, but it's awfully close to 1-to-1. And then there's a change at a year and a change at 18 months. And I think at 18 months, it's like 5-to-1 or 10-to-1. And then there's another change at 2.5 months or 2.5 years where it's whatever the next tier up is. Maybe that's the one where it's 10-to-1. But
so what you're saying is government interference fucked up the market?
Weird. That never happens.
That's never.
Wait.
Always the other one always happens.
Always happens.
Always.
Every
I get those
time.
two things confused.
Yeah, fuck those.
So does the government. So does yeah.
Well, anyways, that's what Horvath's plan is $12 a day for.
Yeah, just like Quebec.
Did you say Horvath? That's what I heard.
I did.
Oh.
So I am.
That's a whole new meaning to me.
I am positive.
Now, one of the things that annoys me in this article is they're talking about the budget cuts that Doug Ford's proposing, and they're saying like this. He's going to cut hospitals, he's going to cut schools, he's going to cut transit and childcare. And so it's like whenever they talk about, someone's going to cut the budget, it's going to hurt the schools and the hospitals and the police. Yet whenever they announce more spending, it's never for schools and hospitals and police.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens, eh?
Yeah, but they're already funded so well. I mean, we don't need to fund them more. We just can't cut it.
I actually disagree. I think we can cut the vast majority of government services and it would be fine, because if we stop taking my tax dollars, I could just pay for the services that I need rather than subsidizing someone else's children to have $12 a day daycare.
Well, also that's a very radical thought, Andrew. Yeah, but also it just might work.
The market would react, though. Like the market, everything's so expensive because the government's paying, like taking our money at full, under threat of violence, and paying for this shit at rates we wouldn't normally do. Like it just shit would become reasonable.
I would have to. Otherwise, they'd go out of
My
business.
The price of my liquor would be half, and the price of my MRI would mean I could actually get an MRI.
Shit, I'd give you an MRI. I'd have a machine in my garage.
Well, okay. Fun
Which
fact.
I would actually own if I wasn't taxed so heavily.
Hey, Marty, is it possible to privately own and operate an MRI in the province of Ontario?
I would think so. I think you could. You just can't get any customers.
Oh, that's the trick. Okay. Do you want to share that? Because that was a fun little thing that you sent me the other day.
Oh, I don't remember now. What did I send you? I was probably drunk at that point too.
You sent me an article about how you were unable to open a private MRI clinic in Ontario. If you wanted to be a veterinarian, if you want to be a veterinarian, you can open a hospital, like a dog hospital, and buy an MRI machine, and you can charge whatever price you want to give dogs an MRI. But if you want to open
that's a long time ago I mentioned that, yeah. Well, it's one of the things like
I'm sure you literally sent me this like 3 days ago, but carry on.
Oh, I gotta go back to messages now and figure out what the hell you're talking about. But in general, yes,
same difference.
It's been a rough week, guys.
I hear that.
Yeah. All right. If you have a dog that needs to get an MRI, it's $200 to $500, and you can get it done today, tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you need an MRI in this province, you're waiting for months to get in, and it costs us thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Funny thing, I've had to do both of those things. Yeah, the dog got in way quicker than I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good times.
All right, I found the article you're
note,
referencing now. I just got to see what it is.
On a side note, getting an MRI really sucks, and it's really boring.
I think you were...
it's the eyewear.
You were talking about the eyewear thing, but I was talking about the MRI thing because we were talking about that too. But
yeah, that's why you had me confused there. Yeah, so there's a petition calling on Ontario to reverse an injunction banning online sales of prescription glasses. So the government wants to ban the sale of online glasses because people are just buying them online with their prescriptions because they're cheaper than going to what's the group? Ontario's optometrists and opticians against online corrective lens retailers or something like that. So they want you should only be able to buy glasses through government licensed opticians.
Well, that's bullshit, because that's how I get my glasses for cheap.
So this is like when you own a grocery store and you go to the Don and pay your protection money, but then someone else opens a grocery store and people start shopping there at a lower price. So then you go to the Don and tell them, hey, people aren't coming to my grocery store. So then
he goes.
So my comment on this wasn't even about the whole glasses thing, because that's what they're saying is that you should only be able to get your glasses through licensed optometrists, opticians, or physician licensed to practice in the province. That's all you should be able to sell glasses, and so that's what this injunction is. And people are all upset, and this is crazy. We should be able to buy them online. It's more convenient. It's cheaper and all this kind of stuff. And my comment was that people are looking at this and realizing that this is dumb, that you should be able to buy them from whoever. Yet at the same time, that's how our school systems work. That's how our healthcare system works. Like, they're not making the...
So that's how all of the broken things the government's involved in operate?
Yeah. Like, it's, they're realizing it for this one instance. Hey, this makes no sense. We should be able to have private competition and not rely on only the government licensed people. And yet not extrapolating that out to, hey, maybe our school systems would be better, just like buying glasses is better.
As long as we have things like Yelp, and you can just give them a slam them in a review, then that shit will work itself out. People like the private industry will hold itself to a standard.
A better standard than the public
necessarily
one.
True. The private industry won't necessarily hold itself to a standard, but it's impossible for the government to be held to any sort of a standard.
You sound like someone who's tried to call the CRA recently.
No, but the CRA keeps trying to call me and collect taxes that they claim that I owe. So I'll be seeing them in court. Well, probably not, because my taxes are actually paid up for a change, but my point still stands. The CRA, along with most government regulatory agencies, are completely fucking useless.
The guy that's calling, though, is it a noticeably Asian-sounding fellow with a very Anglo name that doesn't know your name?
No, but I did have a gentleman like that call me about my ducks, and he did
that's a scam.
Clean them no matter what kind of duck they were, despite how he started the phone call.
Is that a local thing?
The duck cleaning guy?
Man?
No, I'm pretty sure that he's in like the sub-Indian continent somewhere. I don't believe he's local.
I've started getting a new one where it's just somebody speaking in some sort of Asian language on the phone. I'm not sure which one because
it's just so weird. But they go for duct cleaning.
Yeah,
I know.
We were actually out duck hunting, and the guy I was hunting with, he got called on his mobile phone for that, and he's like, "Duck cleaning."
He's like, I've got
absolutely. He's like, "Do you guys do mallards?" He just like looks over and he's like, "He's going to ask his manager."
Well, I think by the time that he had called me, he caught on to that he did not, in fact, do mallards.
But, well, there you go. But, which reminds me, Marty, I've got a couple of chicken pluckers in the warehouse with your name on them.
Sounds awesome. As long as they're free $3.99, I'm in.
I'll see what I can do for you.
Amazing. Shall we move along? I guess we'll go on to the next thing.
Yeah, might as well.
And some more, but on a different topic. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I've got one from the Conservative Broadcasting Corp. I'm sorry, that's not right. Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. Ontario parties offer different visions on corporate tax rate. So the gist of it is that Doug Ford is literally Hitler. He's an evil Nazi, and he should definitely not be the premier.
I'm with you on two of those.
Fair enough. The Ontario Conservative government is talking about reducing the corporate tax rate for small businesses. The NDP government, or the NDP party, is talking about raising it, but they are unclear as to what. And the Liberal government has decided that they will not dick with it any further because they just dicked with it 2 years ago. So really what this is the Conservative Party is planning to return it to pre-Liberal dickery levels, reducing the small business tax rate in Ontario from 11.5% to 10.5%. This only impacts businesses that hold less than $10 million in capital assets. I'm sorry, that's wrong. The corporate tax rate in Ontario is 11.5. It will be reduced to 10.5 under the Conservatives, but that only impacts businesses with more than $10 million in capital. Small businesses, any business that has less than $10 million in capital, is taxed at a lower rate, 3.5%, and that is not scheduled to change under any of the party's proposed tax policies. So, yeah. The NDP wants some more money from businesses. The Liberals feel they have enough money from businesses. Somehow the NDP also feels they can offer reduced childcare and reduce the deficit. I'm not really sure where they're going to magically find money.
The tax rate. I mean, this is kind of all in line.
But they're not sure how much they're going to increase the tax rate. There's nothing in their plan that concretely has a figure with the percentage increase. They've determined how much more tax dollars they need, but they haven't determined what percentage they're going to tax businesses at in order to get that dollar figure.
I think their plan is just to use a sliding scale based on how much they tank the economy. So the more they tank the economy, they'll just keep increasing the tax rate.
Oh, so when you get to Alberta levels, it's like 50%.
Oh, I know what they're doing. They're hoping that they tank the economy in time to the fact that no one will need childcare because they'll all be at home.
And everyone will be dependent on the government.
Win-win, really.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll all be babysitting for public school teachers and hydro workers.
Great.
That's what we need. Yeah. I'll get their kids working my reloading press.
Not to mention the retail weed workers.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm curious.
Gonna
What's
be the career
the
of the
going
future.
rate on a tag for ivory bearing animals in Ontario? Is there a special course
Such an
for that? Like
elusive
they got
one. That's
they
you gotta get
they
in the
got-
lottery first for that one.
Yeah, you have to win the
they
lottery.
got rid of the turkey class. Yeah, they got rid of the turkey class you have to take. So is there like asking for a friend?
Understandable. Yeah, so conservatives are talking about reducing taxes because they're conservatives. Liberals are going to leave them the way they are because they feel they're high enough. And the communists and the NDP want to take everybody's money.
For
And
now,
like,
they're going
hold
to
my
raise
beer.
them. They're going to raise them after the election, though.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, there's no way to balance the deficit without raising taxes. Not that I think that if we had another liberal government running Ontario, that we would actually try to get rid of that deficit, because it's important to remember that deficits are how we measure success. We have to grow the economy from the heart outward.
Oh, and we're doing
It's
amazing.
going to be next to impossible for the conservatives to balance the budget because of the way the contracts, everything that are in place. Like they've
honestly, if we cut spending on everything, if we cut, it's not discretionary spending, but if we cut all of the things that were not essential, like not absolutely essential, like if we cut all of the police overtime, if we cut all the government employees to, like, if we cut everything to the bone and just did the things that we're contractually obligated to do, we still couldn't get rid of the deficit.
You're past the tipping point?
And this is why we drink.
This is why we drink.
Yeah, because we know we're like the worst. We're the worst in the world. Aren't we?
Ontario is the
Ontario
largest
is the worst.
sub-sovereign debtor in the world. We have surpassed the state of California as the largest sub-sovereign debtor in the world. California is something like 100 times more people in the province of Ontario. Something stupid like that.
We're number one. We're number one.
We're number one, eh?
Luckily, our retail sales will pull us through.
Yeah.
You think so?
I doubt that. Yeah, so there's 13 million people in Ontario and there's 40 million people in California. And our debt is higher than theirs. They're the most indebted.
On the plus
state
side, though, we don't have to do the whole like super strict emissions thing that they do.
We're not that much further behind, I don't think, than their carb rules.
Not anymore. No, EPA keeps
Got
catching up.
the bullet button to help the emissions.
Yeah,
different emission.
I hear it makes your rifle go full retard.
Yeah. We're number one. All right. Financial Post retail sales are far weaker than we thought. So the reports came out from the holiday spending season because it takes a quarter for the government to release figures. But if I don't file my taxes on time, I get a phone call from the CRA. Go figure.
Yeah, as a reminder for everyone listening, that shit's due like at the end of the week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Allegedly.
It's theft season, guys, so you better get on that.
That's right. Prepare for the raping, pillaging.
Also, for those that are listening, when I mentioned the retail sales a minute ago, that was called a segue.
Yeah, we're working on it.
It's like one of those-
The segue, I caught it.
It's like one of those.
Well, I said
things.
about.
I was
I
going to
made
say,
a comment.
yeah, tough times, Marty. Canoes aren't flying off the shelves like they used to.
Well, it's because everyone's buying these segways.
Quite good. So, I mean, it's not
Cutting.
it's not terrible growth. Stuff is down, but we're talking about things that are measured in 0.1%. Like retail sales grew by 0.1% in January compared to the initial estimate of 0.3%. So, I mean, rounding errors.
Well, who did the estimate?
The government, Statistics Canada, did the estimate.
What rainbow huffing idiot gave me that estimate?
Well, a liberal that works for StatsCan. But
there we go.
yeah, I don't know.
You
sales
failed.
are down.
You failed.
Surprise.
You're overpaid. You were
I seem to
wrong
recall
by
hearing,
three times.
from Angela one time that like she works in the retail and all that like they actually pay government employees to go into retail stores and like check retail pricing on stuff. Like,
yeah, they use it to make the baskets to calculate the GDP.
Yeah,
it's a real job.
That's such a fucking waste of money.
Isn't that shit all filed with taxes annually?
Yeah, but like they're actually paying someone to go into stores and go, oh, this T-shirt is $15.
Wow,
like,
that sounds like a great job for a white man.
I don't know.
I don't even go into stores to buy stuff anymore.
Wow.
I'm
pretty sure if you're looking for something, Marty, you can just call up the government and they can tell you what everything costs because they've got that shit in a spreadsheet somewhere.
Yeah, it's probably in the Phoenix pay system. That's why it doesn't fucking work.
Yeah.
All right, last one for tonight, I think. Got one more financial post. This is related to the other values that came out. Parliamentary budget officer says federal government would have to fine $43 billion to cover the cost of, you guessed it, guaranteed minimum income. Total cost would be $76 billion. So they're only like $33 billion short. Not a big number.
No, we could tax that easy out of people.
Oh, yeah, we just got to show up another $33 billion. It's not that big of a deal, is it?
Yeah, how many people did you say are in Ontario?
13.5 million.
And we need how much? 33 billion? That's nothing.
Well, okay, so let me put this into perspective. For everybody out there in podcast land, the total revenue in the 2008 Canada federal budget, projected revenue is $323 billion. So if we've got a $33 billion shortfall on this one program, it's only 10% of the entire budget. It's not that big of a number, right?
Yeah, it's nothing, bro. We got this.
Yeah, it's just 10%.
Yeah, but it'll just balance itself because everybody will be spending all that money, right?
It won't balance itself. The market will react and everything will go up in value, and this extra raise, like money, will become as worthless as the increase in the minimum wage.
Or the politicians that decided to increase it. They're also worthless.
Worthless, I say.
I like that the way the Financial Post writes part of this article, though. A guaranteed minimum income often means different things to different people. Really? You can read that in different ways?
Pretty sure it means that I'm guaranteed to get a certain amount of money.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what that means. I get my Gibbs.
There's no other way to read that.
Dollar value.
Yeah. Way to read that. That is as straightforward as it comes.
The Parliamentary Budget Office says that the program would benefit 7.5 million Canadians.
What about the rest of us?
2/3 of Ontario? Well, the rest of us will be the people that are paying for that, because that $33 billion has got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
Which I'm curious about and is not adequately explained in the Financial Post article, where the other $43 billion. I'm sorry, the $43 billion is what they need. The $33 billion is what they already have. I'm curious where that $33 billion has come from, because we don't currently have a minimum income program, guaranteed minimum income program in Canada. So are they expecting to redirect all of the existing federal aid programs, like all of the other things that you get tax rebates on? Is that where they're getting the $33 billion for?
Maybe they just plan on printing their own money,
right? Because like it just says in the article, it's call it $33 billion. It's $33 billion a year to support low income Canadians. So are they just going to get rid of all the other programs and just give everyone income? Because
that's
I don't
that's
care
what
about
they
that.
say, except that the mincome isn't as much as what they currently get on those government subsidized, like those government programs. And so I don't know who's going to make up that difference.
So what you're saying is you're going to need more government programs in order to be where they are now.
Yeah.
So we're going to spend more.
I'm going to guess that as a business owner and a productive member of society that contributes my tax dollars to various levels of government, that I'll be the person making up the difference. And so we'll.
Yeah, but if they tax you enough, then you'll be one of those low income people.
Yeah, but
that's kind of my problem is I have my tax shelter to reduce my tax consequences. And my tax shelter is doing so well that it's actually costing me more money to continue to reduce my tax consequences.
Yeah. But really, you're only pessimistic because of history and common sense and understanding of economics, Andrew. Come on.
Yeah, and we haven't tried real communism yet, guys.
This on a totally unrelated note, Ragnarok Tactical now only accepts silver coins and cougar ants.
Then I believe you mispronounced
Send
that.
Your bitcoins.
It is not Ragnarok Tactical. It is a tax shelter tactical. CA. That's the
Ragnarok tax shelter.
I have some ideas for a business.
Does anybody own the .biz site yet?
.biz. Nobody has the .biz.
Probably other Andrew. He owns I think other Andrew actually is the top level domain name register for the .biz domains.
Other Andrew.biz is actually up for sale right now. We should totally get that. So.
We have drunkenly bought enough domains in the last couple of years. Things are finally starting to cycle off of my GoDaddy account. We don't drunkenly buy any new domains today.
My government.
Fine.
Yeah, my democracy. How are you a doctor.ca? Yeah, I got renewal notices because it's that time of the year where GoDaddy's like, "Hey, pay me," and I'm like, "Nah, bro, we didn't do anything with that." Yeah,
that'll happen.
You know damn well we did nothing.
I don't know. How Are You a Doctor was definitely one of my preferred webs. I used to do healthcare IT stuff, and howareyoudoctor.com was definitely a very good website. So it was just a doctor in a lab coat with like a quizzical expression. We definitely used it to check and make sure people's internet was up. Oh, speaking of, did my internet just take a shit?
No, it's good.
No, you're good.
Okay, it's Gavin's. Good.
You just weren't funny.
Aw. Well, I'm disappointed by that, but not terribly surprised. Let's start wrapping this thing up. I've got something from the Collingwood Rod and Gun Club. They've got a member. He's got to go fund me up. I'm just going to read it out. It's pretty short. His name's Jim. I'm a 30-year veteran of the British Army, having served all over the world. I'm now retired and living in beautiful Collingwood, Ontario, Canada. On the 8th of March, the Ontario Provincial Police confiscated all my firearms without reason on a warrant search at my house. I've subsequently found out that it was because of a post I made on Facebook which caused someone to complain. This post was merely a witty remark about certain individuals' assumptions of what constitutes an assault rifle and was misunderstood. There are no criminal charges, but I'm now looking at least $10,000 in legal fees, money I do not have, if I wish to overcome this situation. I do not enjoy opening myself up like this, but I really need some support. All amounts over the cost of legal fee will be donated to veterans charities. Many thanks, Jim. I don't know Jim. This came to me from somebody at the Collingwood Rod and Gun Club who does know Jim. I checked into him. He was a para. He ended up doing close protection in the British Army. He served for as far as I can see, the 30 years as he claims. I have it on good authority that he is a stand-up guy. I would encourage people to go to the GoFundMe and see if they can throw Jim some money, because this is something that will affect all gun owners, because we shit post on the internet on Monday nights. I don't know if our listeners are fully aware of this. I anticipate a visit from the RCMP at some point, and to that end, I have my Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights legal insurance paid up, and I make sure that it is always current.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Little CCFR plug. Way to field officer that, Gavin.
Yeah, this really pisses me off. I'm glad I became aware of this. I want everyone to look into this, give this guy some money. And this is someone I would like to have a few beers with, and I think we could make that happen given his geographic location.
Yes, I would gladly take this guy out for a couple of the official beers and some wings.
Shit, this is the kind of thing like where we almost like throw a match and like do a fundraiser for this guy.
Yeah.
So this year we're not doing the fuck cancer charity shoot. We're doing the fuck the police charity shoot.
Yeah.
Or fuck government. I'm good with either.
I'm pretty certain this is the fuck Facebook.
Fuckgov.org. This is Marty. Yeah. You haven't heard the last of this.
Go check out Jim's GoFundMe. Like I said, I don't know Jim, but I have it on good authority that he's a stand-up dude. Go and give him some money. Help him raise a legal defense fund. Maybe somebody should buy him a CCFR membership so in the future he has his legal defense fund should he need it.
Yeah. That or, like even if Jim isn't a stand-up dude, this is still a very worthy cause. It's for telling people what an assault rifle isn't.
Yeah, and
if anybody knows what he posted, send it in the podcast. I'm curious now.
I would very much love to hear because
we could probably have him on the podcast.
I think that is a great idea. We should totally do that.
Like this, you go to the GoFundMe. There's a picture. This guy was he was a sergeant. He's sitting there holding like an MP5. This guy's done some shit. Like he deserves some help.
Yeah.
All right.
Donate some money. Come out to the fuck Facebook charity shoot.
There we go.
Yeah.
Fuck Facebook.
Fuck the Zuck.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down to the basement and make some t-shirts.
If you haven't been keeping up on your petitions to our government regarding other firearms laws, oneclearvoice.ca, print the letters out. Do it at work. It doesn't cost you anything, and I mean your employer's probably only paying you minimum wage anyway, so whatever.
Then if any of my employees are listening, I totally condone this message. Print it out at work. I'll pay for it.
Yeah, I have a laser printer at home for the business, and I mean,
yeah,
it's 10,000 sheets out of a cartridge, and paper is cheap. Print some letters.
If you work at Gavin's workplace, make yourself a big coffee and go back to him and say the Visa at 58 is essentially an AK-47, and then you'll get a nice 30-minute break, and you can sit there.
Yeah. You use that opportunity to address the envelopes to your MP.
It's true.
Yeah. But that's go to One Clear Voice. Everyone, like we kind of seem to have really hit a plateau with the numbers. The numbers aren't climbing. So now I'm encouraging to the listeners to, if you've done the petitions, the e-petitions, now it's time to pester your spouse and get them to do the petitions, and pester your brother and get them to do the petitions. So it's time for the echo. We've done the boom and it's kind of plateaued. Let's get that echo going, and let's get that e-petition.
Yeah, they're on campaign 9 of One Clear Voice. So if you haven't done all 9 of them, you're doing it wrong. So make up for it and catch up, and get everyone to sign the petition, do the One Clear Voice thing. Write your own letters in if you feel like the wording in that is not right. Post that shit on social. It may get you a visit from the police, but hopefully you've got your CCFR legal defense fee.
Step 1, CCFR legal insurance. Step 2, shit posting on the internet and in your MP's office.
And one of the greatest things I found, offer to take your non-gun friends out shooting, because once they've gone out shooting, a lot of them go, man, this is amazing. And then, they inevitably you'll go out and you'll bring a bunch of guns, because that's what I do. And you'll hand them a gun and they'll a 22 or something. Usually you start them off and they shoot, more than 10 rounds if it's not a 10-22. This is really fun. Then you hand them another gun and they shoot it and it goes 5 times. They're like, what the fuck is this? This is lame. I want to keep shooting this. And you're like, sorry, man. Government regulation. You can only shoot it 5 times before you got to reload it. Like, that's bullshit.
Watch how fast we can reload it.
Yeah. And then they start getting on your side because they're like, this is fucking retarded. Like, what difference does that make? And you're like, well,
This is good advice for those of you that still have friends that don't own guns.
Yeah.
Alternatively, be like me. Just don't have friends that don't own guns, or do not befriend people that don't have guns. You know what I'm trying to say. I've had a lot of this Dominican beverages.
Dominican mystery beverage, number 2.
I've almost run out of this little bottle.
The closer to Toronto you live, the more likely you have friends that don't own guns are.
Well, get the hell away from Toronto. It's full of trucks of peace.
Yeah, but Mississauga has really good tax rates right now.
You know where else has really good tax rates? Every other historically conservative riding in Ontario.
Fair.
Yeah.
I'd say false.
Really?
Yeah, Toronto has like the cheapest property tax rate of like the entire province.
But you have to pay the land transfer tax twice when you buy a house.
Is that because you walk on used needles?
Well, only a little bit. They clean those up once a month now.
Okay.
It's almost as if like the politicians cater to that region.
It's almost like that. All right. Coming up is the 8th annual Canadian Firearms Podcaster Charity Shoot. July 5th to the 7th. It's going to be in New Brunswick. Go to New Brunswick. Check out Slamfire Radio. Maple Seed sold out. Furlachi Handgun Class sold out. Don't know about the registration for the actual event. I assume that is not sold out, but I have no way of knowing. Check Slamfire Radio.
I don't even think it's started.
The best thing to do.
Registration for which?
The actual
charity shoot on the Saturday, on the 7th.
I don't think there is a registration for the actual charity shoot.
The best thing to do is email slamfireradio@gmail.com and include a photo of a clown. That will guarantee a response.
Yeah, and be sure to sign off on it. Trevor sucks as well with the clown.
The sharper the teeth on the clown, the better.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going by what the info they provided us. But it says registration is at 9 a.m. So show up at 9 a.m. and register then.
Yeah.
Shit, we better get there early then.
I think we'll be okay. I mean, I hope. I don't know. We almost weren't. But anyway, moving along. Other upcoming event. Go check out our friends at True North Tradecraft. They're doing a covert entry concepts class in Toronto. Be careful, it's Toronto. May 12th and 13th. The cost for this is $865. As far as I know, there are still spaces available.
Totally awesome class. I've done it. I'm going to make a little appearance and say what's up to everyone that's there. They're also running a safe dial manipulation class if you want to learn to break into safes. That shit was cool too. Man of history.
No one needs to know how to break into a safe until they do.
Exactly.
There's no rapid fire feedback this week. You can get in the show, get in touch with the show. This alcohol is a lot stronger than I thought it would be. It does not taste like much.
that it creeps up on you, man.
Yeah, I hear that. There is no rapid fire feedback this week. You can get in touch with the show. Send us an email. Let us know how we offended you. Feedback at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. We'll wrap this up. Gavin, where can everybody find you playing James Bond?
Well, last week you could have found me in Arkansas shooting through windshields. But from now moving forward, you can just find me on Instagram and catch up on all my, international man of mystery adventures under Urbex_GTA.
But you got a sticker thing.
Yeah. You can find me on Guerrilla Works as well if you want to buy some of my shit. Toss me a few shekels.
You got an ammo can with no stickers? Go to Guerrilla Works.
Marty, where can everybody find the show?
CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com.
I don't know why it always sounds like I catch you off guard with that question. It's the same question every week.
You need a drop.
That's because I have to jump back to the show notes to see what it is.
But it's the same answer to the same question every week.
Yeah, but
every week I feel like I caught you off guard by asking.
He's like looking at some 1992 Lawn Boy catalog or something like that.
Dude, those were
Magnesium
sweet
deck.
fucking mowers.
Oil
Oh
mix,
yeah.
premix.
Dude, you don't want the
Oh,
90s ones. You want to go earlier than that.
Okay.
We're not talking about lawnmowers on the show. I've had to deal with enough lawnmowers in person. Tim,
Are
where
we
can
gonna get all autiste about lawnmowers now? Is that what we're
Tim,
doing? Is that part of the
Tim?
show?
Tim,
You can find me at facebook.com/Tim's Good T-shirts. Stuff is in the works.
excellent. You can find me at RagnarokTactical.ca. Please buy some bandages, buy some tourniquets. Do yourself, do your family a favor. Have the tools that you need should you ever need them. That seems redundant. I did not think this through. Again, excessive alcohol this evening. I have to apologize to Rod Giltaka. Again, due to the excessive alcohol, I was not able to remember to invite him onto the show. We hope to be able to have him on a future episode where I've imbibed less.
You're ambitious.
One more.
Or whichever. I'm open-minded. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you are the true North, strong and free.